After a longer wait than usual, we are back with more One Piece.
So back.
And with that, we have received an absolutely crazy chapter.
Insane.
Just filled with action from start to finish. So let's not waste a lot of time and let's jump right in to One Piece chapter 1149, titled 1 Second.
Yeah, which really a terrifying thought after the countdown that we just saw in the last chapter. But it's also just a good description of how this chapter unfolds with everything just happening, blink of an eye. 1 second, everything's going down.
Mm-hmm. We do jump around a little bit throughout the story, but it's pretty much one action sequence from start to finish. And we start on page 1. The rest of the readers, it's no surprise.
How we feel throughout this chapter, that's a good open. What?
Yes, the entire crew present is just blown away by what Scopper managed to accomplish by actually injuring and having the injury remain on Sommers. But Gabon just kind of rubs it in a little bit and makes the injury feel a little bit worse as he goes, I'm just rusty.
Yeah, actually, I could have done better. This was weak. And I mean, Usopp is even he had to have done something. This isn't a normal guy. We've already seen their regenerative powers. How did he land this and have it stick?
And he kind of alludes to what we've theorized in a lot of the community figures, is that he had to have done something with hockey that we just don't know about yet. And whatever it was is what's preventing him from regenerating right now. But he doesn't give them a whole lot of time to think about why he's able to land this hit as Scopper continues his assault. And Sommers is stunned, still thinking about how the fact he got his hand cut off. He is absolutely shocked at just the presence of Gabon showing up in front of him and has to immediately jump into defensive.
Yeah, which, again, just a shout out to Gabon being insane. Even if he's old, he's laying it on this dude. And I mean, Nami starts to explain, we ran into him, and he was giving Zoro and Luffy the work. They could barely keep up with him. Explains, that's Colin's dad. Also, he was on Roger's crew. And Robin, especially hearing this, still wants to help, but Jinbei's listen, especially with his specific fruit, your hand-to-hand combat just isn't going to work in this scenario.
No, there's certain devil fruits that are hard counters, and this might not be the hard counter.
Yeah, she already did the best she could. It's not going to help anymore at this point.
Yeah, so they just got to leave it to Gabon. And Sommers does try to take the offensive here. He's very clearly uncomfortable, so instead of just an attack, he throws 2 named attacks at Gabon back to back, throwing up an entire field of thorns and some vines to attack him at the same time. But even this is not enough for Gabon.
Dude, Scott, he sidestepped it, hits him, cuts him in clean half, and then's oops, almost landed on this, gotta dodge out of the way. Easy.
He thrusts himself with his axes back over the rest of the thorns.
Disrespectful, dude.
If this is him rusty.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Prime Scopper, crazy. This was number 3 of the Pirate King.
And now that problem's been seemingly resolved, he just takes off. He's alright, gotta get on to Colin. That's one guy sniped
on to the next one.
And immediately keeps on going. But now that Sommers is down, credit to Chopper, with everyone else still being captured, he immediately starts thinking, because he was still hiding in the hair of Saul. He was not captured like the rest of the crew. But he's okay, he did something that managed to keep him down. As the one medical person here that can figure something out, I gotta see if there's something I can tell the rest of the crew.
Yeah, I'm interested in what he's gonna end up doing, because he does start running. He's no longer hiding. And he does realize also, like you said, that there is something special being done by Scopper to actually land this damage.
But we cut away from what could be a hopeful discovery by Chopper to a much more somber scene back at the Walrus school as Kieringham is just standing on arms crossed like nothing really matters, and Angie has to look and see so much of the hard work that they put in for this school just burning before her.
Yeah, and then Kieringham very casually is just here, let me deal with the rest, sets the library on fire too, with one fell swoop.
Yeah, just pulls out an arrow and shoots that to set it ablaze as well. So now all of the education and what these buildings represent for their history.
And the history of O'Hara too, all of that hard-earned things that they saved from the Buster Call is now going up in flames. And you can see Robin, Saul, like, it breaks their heart.
Yeah, Saul is having a hard time in general.
Yeah, I mean...
But Robin does realize the impact and what this means, the significance of all of those books and passed on education burning away. And that's even felt by Ja Rule, who he knows he had to make this decision if he wanted to save Ronja's life.
And they tell him, like, the other people around him, like, this isn't your fault. You had to do this. It's the right choice. But yeah, it's gonna hurt. Like, this sucks.
And we do get an allusion to some kind of, like, special ancestral words that have been passed down, where it's history itself is, and then it's cut off. Because we can never get something straight.
We're never allowed to just know everything.
But, I mean, I would speculate it's probably something like history is what we give to the next generation. Our history is what we pass on. So it's probably very relevant to what the situation is about, but I'm sure we're going to have those words come back later with a different meaning as well.
Oh, almost for sure. But regardless, for now, everything's burning, and killing him does let Gunko know, hey, the fire's going. And she's like, okay, we can bring the kid back then. Actually holding up their end of the bargain that Ronja's not going to die anymore.
No, there is a bit of a sense of honor there, which I didn't really expect. And maybe if Sommers was still in charge, we wouldn't get. But Gunko does keep good on her word. And, oh, man, Ronja...
Heartbreaking, dude. I hated this.
This child has such a strong, like, emotionally charged dialogue every time they speak. And just begins atoning and apologizing for even being alive to be put in this situation and cost them everything. But
everyone's telling her, rightfully so, like, no, don't blame yourself. You know, the other kids, the giant warriors, everyone. That's not on you. But she's gonna have to carry that weight.
Yeah, no, regardless of what they say, she's the one that feels this way.
And I mean, she was ready to give herself up so that it wouldn't burn.
But Scopper's not going to let them get away with that.
Oh, he's pissed.
He continues his charge directly towards Gunko, and even has like his own miniature speech where he starts talking about culture, history, children, even military might. You have no right to take this away from this nation. And immediately Gunko also recognizes Gabon. So like, even 20-some years removed from the Pirate King's crew being in the, like, on top of the world.
They still got that rep.
No, they know who these people are. There's a reason they don't go to Sabaody to mess with Rayleigh. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And here comes another one.
Yeah, and she like goes on the defensive, like, hey, you know I'm gonna kill them if you do this, right?
Yeah, but he does represent hope. And you can see it immediately on the children as he arrives that, wow, Yasan is here. This, like, seemingly the strongest person on our island has come to rescue us, and he does not look as lighthearted as he usually does. He looks serious.
No,
so we have hope.
Yeah, we have hope, and understand, like, the kids, they're too, like, jacked up in that moment of like, oh, Colin, he's coming. Look who it is. And you can see it. He's like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Colin's he's too young. He's too excitable. He's not thinking about what the ramifications of calling out, like, yeah, that's my dad. My dad's gonna save us. We're safe. Here he comes.
He's too proud, and that was his hubris, because Gunko immediately recognizes, oh, I don't just have a hostage.
I have the hostage. And you see it in his face, too, like, fuck.
He tries to jump into action, but it's too late. That arrow directly towards Colin, she is speeding off towards him, and now has him in a very precarious situation with Lance, it seems like, at the base of his neck, which I think she made this out of her arrows. I don't think we've seen her use this before, and it just came out of nowhere.
It might have been what she had up against Brooke in the previous chapter, but yeah, either way, like in the blink of an eye, right at his neck, ready to kill him. And I mean, Scopper realizes that, like, I have a split second. I have to act right now and do this exactly right, otherwise it's over.
And still trying to kind of reassure himself, too, that he has a chance to figure out everything in this moment. He tells Colin, just give me 1 second. You got this. You're strong. I raised you strong. And very much tells us the reason for this chapter title being 1 second.
1 second, yeah. And I mean, credit to Colin. He's scared. He's crying, but he still holds his own. He says, I've got it. Like, I'll hold it down, Dad. I'm a warrior. Please beat her. You know, he's doing what he can, but, I mean, Gunko tells him, like, you're not getting him back.
Yeah.
If I kill him, he's dead.
Yeah, you can be strong, but you're not immortal. You're not invincible. You're not like the God's Knights. If you get killed, you're killed.
You're done. And I mean, then we get that flashback of his first time seeing his son with Ripley. And, you know, he really does love him. You know, he calls him, what was it, a treasure of a lifetime.
Yeah, no, he realizes everything he could lose in that moment. And everything that it means to him.
And to Ripley, because you see her then like, please, Colin, please be okay.
So he's a warrior. He's going to try and fight up until the very end, but the time has run out, it seems. The lance is getting closer. It's now at the base of his son's neck.
I mean, she starts to poke it into him, too. You see a little bit of blood start to trickle down.
And think just as he's about to close the gap, we see what looks like Gabon have a future sight moment where he sees a little bit into the future, and he sees that if he waits any longer, his son will be stabbed through the throat and he will die.
I think it's even if he just like goes through with this attack, you know? Like he realized like, I can't do anything.
And so he does the only thing he can do. He gives up.
Yeah, drops his axes. I give up, please stop. It's over. And he apologizes too. I'm sorry, Elbaf. I'm sorry, Colin.
I've seen some people online like clowning him for giving up, but what good father would not?
That's his son.
Yeah.
That's his son.
What good father would not do that? And it clearly devastates Colin as he sees his father now in his moment of surrender get attacked by 3 arrows and plummeting towards the realm below.
Yeah, dude, she shoots that right through him too. Like, I want to believe he'll be okay, but that's a tough one to bounce back from.
No, that's the same thing Robin tried to use to kill Sommers.
Yeah.
Like, with that attack and him falling off the branch, all of that sense of hope is sucked out of the group. The children are stunned, and Colin can only just call for his dad.
Crying, Dad, Daddy, like, you know, yelling for his father. But then that, it resonates with Gunko, which did not see this coming. Very crazy, but it triggers a flashback.
Yeah, it's almost like a sleeper agent hearing the right word. And she has a flashback to what we can only assume is younger Gunko herself, calling out for her own father. And not only that, but she hasn't forgotten this. It's almost like this memory was fully blocked out of her.
Yeah, she's been repressing it.
Or something else repressed it for her.
And it just got forced to, like, the forefront.
But from that dramatic call for her father, the next thing she sees is a very familiar laugh.
And Afro.
Telling her about his dream to be a pirate. And in this moment of realization, it seems like both Brooke and Gunko recognize and realize who one another are.
Yeah, because he's saying to himself, like, she looks so familiar. It looks just like, you know, this girl that he knew. And I feel like we're about to get a real big flashback of their relationship. Because, yeah, they clearly had ties in their former lives.
Yeah, and before they can even get a chance to discuss it, as Gunko's running towards Brooke.
Right, because you realize, like, oh, wait, like, this isn't just the guy who makes good music. This is Brooke. I remember him now.
Yeah, I know him. But there has to be some intervention. And seeing the mess that his God's Knights are in, IMU begins talking about, why are you failing? Why is there so much going on here?
This is taking too long. We need you back in the Holy Land.
We need some more force.
Well, and we also see big dragon stonks. The Holy Land's up in flames. Like, they're attacking.
Yeah.
They've made their move.
Their siege is not going well for the Celestial Dragons.
It's going very well for the revolutionaries. Yeah.
Yes. But he's not wasting time anymore, and we see what typically is Gunko's heterochromia, having 2 different eyes, become the 2 same ringed eyes we've seen on the Hidden Ruler of the World many times before.
Yeah, and very clearly is speaking through her body, has taken over her, and yeah, is just using her as a conduit, and says, I'm about to show you what, like, the true power of a god is.
Even the subnote in the corner saying God's Advent.
Yeah.
It's
not gonna be good.
He's fully here now through the vessel of Gunko.
He or she.
Yes, or she, as we talked about beforehand, but it also looks like Gunko's hair, which is usually like a short pixie cut.
It's definitely been chopped up to this point.
Yeah.
It was not long before, and it's like flowing now.
So maybe another part of emo is present. Maybe the emo is woman theory has some credibility. Regardless, emo is now closer to the Straw Hats than he or she has ever been.
Yeah, it's about to go down.
So whether or not the power of the god hidden in the shadows or the sun god is greater, we're gonna find out very soon. But we can only hope that the crew survives until then.
Yeah, for real. Luffy needs to get there ASAP.
But you guys let us know in the comments what you thought of this chapter, if there's any details we might have missed, or what you think was Gunko and Brook's history. Like the video if you enjoyed the review, subscribe if you keep finding yourself coming back here for our One Piece content, and as always, be crew.